officially live in the flesh. How are you, Mr. Lani? Lani, sorry.
Yeah, Lani. I'm great. I am happy to be here. I am excited to do this. This is my first official podcast slash co-creator interview. So yeah, this is really exciting to be invited, I should say, to earn the invitation.
Absolutely, man. Well, you've done some tremendous things so far. There's no reason why this is your first one, because you've only been on YouTube for a few months, man. But you're already blowing past everybody 1,000 subscribers, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, 4-month anniversary was yesterday, actually. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so crazy. Yeah, we got to get into that, because there's got to be some stuff going on. Richie's here. Woodsy, whoop whoop. I'll be lurking while passively trying to catch an apple. I'll put you to sleep, Woodsy. Joe Bretto. Hola, Anthony. Ilani, ¿cómo están, mi gente? How's it going, man? We're doing good.
¿Qué pasó, Joe?
Hey, there we go.
Sí, hablo español un poquito.
Okay, yeah. Y también. Michael Wong, how's everybody doing? Anthony, how's everybody? Oh, Chad, he said he just dropped at a United Hub, and to let you know.
Which one? But also awesome. But
Denver.
Oh, the mile-long one, the giant hallway, but still a good one.
He's just heading to work at the moment. Okay, all right, let's get this going, because this is something I've been very excited to have Lani on the podcast. I have a lot of questions for him. I'm very curious. So the first thing I wanted to bring up, what's going on, Josh? First thing I wanted to ask you, Mr. Lani, in the flesh, which was what I just alluded to earlier. Okay, you started on YouTube. You had no presence whatsoever. You dropped on YouTube now just hit 4 months ago yesterday. But in the span of 3 months, you were able to reach 1,000 subscribers. How did you do it so fast? Where did you come from? And why are you resonating so well with the community? What's happening here? I need to know.
Oh, great question. I will say it was a pleasant surprise to be able to resonate so quickly within the community, and to be able to gain so much support, and I guess you want to call it affection, whatever, the following, I should say, so quickly. But one of the things that I will say is, even though I uploaded my first video exactly 4 months ago yesterday, I started way before that. And I'm actually going to shout out to Sledge real quick about do your research. So it's not just do your research in the niche that we talk about or in the credit card game. It's also do your research for literally anything that you want to do. So for about 3 months before I uploaded my first video, I was on YouTube looking at what makes YouTubers successful. Like, what are the things that you would see? What are the things that people are doing? And I would be watching Colin and Samir interviews. I would watch Mr. Beast interviews. I would be on Think Media, TubeBuddy, vidIQ. If you're about to start a YouTube channel, here's the things you need to know. So many people have already made these mistakes. It's going to save me so much time not making those exact same mistakes. So I was literally just doing so much research in the beginning of it that I was like, okay, I know what I want. I know my direction, until I got to a point where I'm like, there's nothing more I can do from a research standpoint without practicing. And so then, even before I uploaded my first video was actually not the first video I ever recorded. It's probably the third or the fourth, where I spent time just getting used to my camera, getting used to the audio, getting used to the visuals, getting used to me talking to a camera lens. I'm very good at talking to people. You put me in a room of people, I'm great. I'm not in a room with people right now. I'm in my home office talking to a black camera lens, and it was way different. And it's how do I find myself that personality if I had a person in front of me? And so I would practice those types of things, and I'm still working on them. I'm getting a little bit better in front of my camera still, but it's still a skill that I'm working on. But I say all of that is because I put in the practice and the work and the research before I hit the publish button, just so I could be as best prepared as I could. And then after that, I know Spencer had mentioned this last week. I dig into my analytics. I'm also an analytical person, so I do a lot of testing, and I will upload before I finish a video and hit publish. I'll probably watch it 10 times. Doesn't mean I'm going to go back and change anything. It's if I could do one thing different in this video, what would I do? And then I incorporate that into my next video. It could be the thumbnail, it could be the title, it could be the intro, it could be the outro, whatever. And I just like, ooh, if I could, I would change that. And I put that into my next video to make every single video better, just so I can always increase on my quality. And then the other part of it is support. So I would lean on a lot of people, not friends or family. Friends or family don't care, but like the people that don't know you, those are the ones that are going to give you the best feedback. Like a complete stranger is going to be like, dude, that video sucked. Really? What sucked about it? Please tell me. Like, I don't disagree with you. I don't agree with you, but tell me what sucked. And it's like, okay, if that person said it sucked, maybe I should consider reevaluating that one little tidbit. And then I would hopefully modify it. And like, one, keep in touch with them. Like if you go through any of my video comments, you probably like even see it's like, I'll say, hey, like, do this, do that, and hey, stay in touch. Like, leave me another comment later. Stay in touch. And so I've actually built my own small community of people that have commented literally on like every single video as they left feedback, things like that. But then, speaking of support, I know we were talking about this before we went live, but I was lucky enough to meet a videographer that actually works with successful YouTubers and YouTube channels. Like he's a freelancer, but like he's worked with Alex Hermosi. He's worked with some of the like smaller creators that kind of like not necessarily do like the prank style, but like the Mr. Beast, Logan Paul style videos. He's worked with those types of creators that have had a lot of success. And I actually met him because my neighbor 2 doors down behind this wall right here is friends with him, very close friends with him. And we're literally just out in our townhome community here at the communal place having a barbecue or whatnot. And he was like, hey, I know somebody that does like video editing for YouTubers. You should talk to him. And I'm like, cool, I'll talk to him because I'm sure he can provide me some type of information. I'm pretty sure he can give me something that will work for me as someone that's just getting started. And so he and I talked, we still talk to this day. And it was actually him that helped me set that goal to help move so fast, like literally like lay the breadcrumbs. And what I mean when I say that is I first set a goal. It's like, hey, I want to get to 1,000 in like 6 months. Cause I know the average was like 8 or 9, even a year before you get to 1,000. After our first conversation, he was like, dude, you're so personable. Like you as a person and like what you want to talk about and how you like present yourself. Like, dude, you can do it in like before the end of the year. You can do it in like 90 days. Like, instead of when someone gives you a compliment, just accept it. Just say thank you and accept it. And that's what really drove me to say, like, once again, he's like, you're doing the research, you're looking at the right things, you're thinking of considering the right things. You're like, you're practicing, you're putting all this right stuff in motion. You're going to do it in 90 days. I'm like, dude, you must be crazy. But I accept the challenge. 107 days later, I hit 1,000. But it was him that planted that seed to say that I could even do it. And then I was not how to do it. He was like, you're already doing the right things. Don't stop doing that. Just get better at how you do your research. Get better at how you like look at your analytics. Get better at how you like make every single video better, but don't make the video better. Make one part of the video better. So it's like if your intro, like you go into your analytics and you see that you have a 40% drop off in the first 30 seconds. Your next video, you need to focus on the next 30 seconds. So like for the next week, I'll watch videos that are like, here's how I get retention in that first 30 seconds. And the next like 2 or 3 videos, I would only focus on that until now my 30-second retention is like 89, 92% or something like that.
What the hell?
And now I move on to the next part, So now it's like, okay, what about the first minute? What about the first 5 minutes? So like right now, my average view for a 10-minute video is like 6.5. So I'm really focused on how do I get from 6.5 minutes to 8.5 minutes for a 10-minute video. And it's like a golf swing. You don't do the whole entire swing. You work on the handing, you work on your grip, you work on your stance, you work on every little bit and piece. And that's what I've been able to do, which has contributed to, well, personally, what I believe has contributed to my success so far.
That's an amazing overview of everything you've done so far. But I have to say that those numbers right there are blowing my mind already. You're saying like a 65% retention on a 10-minute video. That's pretty wild. So this actually leads me to a question. Now I almost feel like we're opposites in a way. and I want to know because this translates to a lot of areas in life. So I kind of want to know. It's a small diversion, but now I'm curious.
Uh-huh.
I'm usually of somebody who will have an idea, and I'll pretty much just jump head first into it. I'll make a lot of mistakes, but I'll learn very quickly doing that as well.
Yeah.
And usually that's just I don't know. I've always in my life always found like if I just started and then over time learn all these little things and the details and whatnot, at least I'm getting the ball rolling faster than as if I was going to do my research. Now that's just the person I am. You did the opposite. You researched heavily 3 months prior to even starting a channel and practiced a lot, and now you're hitting the ground running. So
Yeah.
has this worked for like any other areas in your life? Like where do you feel is the benefit in doing that everywhere, or is there even a benefit to the way I do it? You think everybody should research beforehand? You think before starting anything new?
I think it is a choose your own adventure. Whatever works best for you works best for you. Like some people learn how to swim because they get dropped into a pool, and it's like literally sink or swim. And others are like, well, maybe if I drink like a quart of water first and shave my head or something, I'll be better in the pool. I'm the latter, where I'm like, I know that what could happen. And so to prevent that, I'm going to do all the research that I can in the beginning so that I'm as best prepared as possible if I were to like be thrown into a pool where I can't stand up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just my personal style where I'm, like I mentioned, I'm very analytical to an extent. Like I will, well, not necessarily analytical as much as I am intellectual. I just like to study things
Hmm.
to the umpteenth degree. Like I call myself a nerd. I'm literally a nerd. I have like 177 IQ. Like I'm literally a nerd.
170. God damn.
Where sometimes for fun, and I know it's funny, and I'm probably someone's going to say something to me about that later. But it's
Wait, is
weird.
that
But like
is that legit?
is literally
177?
legit. Yeah, yeah.
You part of Mensa?
Um, my oldest brother and my dad both are, yes, but I am not.
Like, what are you
But
doing just on here talking about credit cards, man?
having fun, enjoying
Exactly.
life, living the journey,
Hmm.
adding experiences, to my life, something I could tell my son I was able to do at one point, whatever. Um, but like sometimes in my free time, like Neil deGrasse Tyson's one of my favorite people. Um, I follow NASA literally, like to the extent of I watch their live streams. I'm on the NASA channels all the time, where it's like I will see if I can figure out this math equation of like trajectory of if an asteroid was coming towards Mars, like how soon it would hit Earth. Like literally, like go into the calculus, like mathematical conversation and equation about that. And I'll just do it for fun to see if I can figure it out. Like, dude, I'm a nerd. I am literally a nerd. And of course, you can tell from my background, I'm also a pop culture nerd as well.
Yes. So we'll talk about that for sure. And I'm sorry, I'm a little bit remiss here. Joe Barreto, mi gente, he did a $10 super chat a little bit ago. I'm sorry I missed that, man. I just looked at the top right. I saw it up there. And he just said, I'm going to start it off. Oh my God, I'm sorry I'm late on this. Jesus, appreciate you, Mr. Barreto. You're too kind. And Matt Clausen said he's paying back the Amex Gold card that he got on his last live stream where he got a crazy amount of donation. So I appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here. On what you just mentioned, there's a few people talking about. MR actually just said I joined NASA Federal Credit Union just because I was a space nerd. LOL. I follow NASA on the big things like Web, and Chad Money Minutes just said I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. Star Talk is one of my favorites.
Yep.
So you got some fans out there. Neil
Yeah.
deGrasse, he's great. Yeah, I like him as well.
Yeah. I got a couple of his books back here as well.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, I love Neil.
Do you agree with his phrase that the universe is under no obligation to make sense to you?
Absolutely. To be completely honest, so all right, nerd conversation. Let's go into it. Why not? One of my favorite concepts of his is when he does the timeline of the universe on a calendar, where the January 1st at midnight is the Big Bang, and then where we as a human race sit somewhere on that calendar, and it's like the size of a postage stamp at at the end of December. And the thing is that no one really knows. Like, we know the universe is expanding. And like in the world, physical world that we live in, like if I take a glass of water, I pour water into it. I know where the edge of that cup is because it's holding all of that water, right? So if I jump into a pool, I know the wall is the end of that liquid universe, the end of the water, the end of the pool. But we don't know the vessel that our current, like, literal universe is in. We don't have any idea of that. And then at the same time, if the Big Bang is the start of time that we can recollect, but at the same time, we can also see light on the other side of the Big Bang, which means multiple things. One, that what was there before second one, like what happened before the Big Bang? Where were we before the Big Bang? And not to go like into too much movie and things like that, but one of my favorite things explaining the universe is the end of Men in Black. I think it's the first one or the second movie where kicks open this locker door or this door, and it's a locker somewhere else, and then like our universe is literally just a marble in someone else's universe. Like, I'm like, that was such a great way to like say you have no idea what literally like what we're in or anything of that nature. So that one little scene, that end scene, always like resonates with me for that exact reason. It's like we don't actually know who or where we are. We just know we're just like, this is the information that we have, but it doesn't actually mean anything to us quite yet. Can't quantify it, I should say.
Yeah. So do you think it's more so like, I wonder like how you perceive it, because yes, there's no way to know from before that, 0101, like where is actually before the Big Bang, like everyone wants to mention. Is there an explanation for that outside of physics, or is it just our technology is not strong enough to capture more than 14 billion years ago, do you think?
I wouldn't actually say technology. I would say the math equation. We haven't figured out the equation that can we haven't figured out the other side of the equal sign for that equation, but we also haven't figured out the equation. And there's multiple things we could talk about. And when it comes to there, like people just like, people think that time is linear and other people think that time is circular. Futurama, another one, absolutely great show if you ever watch it. Absolutely great show, but they went through time is linear in that show where at the end of time, like time explodes, and that's the reset. The explosion is the Big Bang that restarts the entire thing. It's like a clock rolling over from 99 to 0 again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like an odometer rolling over. And I thought that was a great concept of how they did that as well. And then of course, like if you're into Marvel, they just did a whole thing on between Marvel and Loki that also time is linear. So, I mean, time is circular. So, there's theories, but I mean, we can't explain it. And so just sit back and be entertained.
So yes, I enjoy the process of existing on this whatever time ends up being.
Right.
Just
Make a good show. Just give me something to watch.
Gotcha. Do you think that gives you a little freedom to know, like, things are so large and so somewhat meaningless? Does that make you more of a nihilist, do you think?
No, I'm very ambivalent in that scenario where I accept things for what they are. And right now, this is where it is. Like, would I have loved to be around in the 1800s to see what happened then? Absolutely. Would I love to be around in the 2500s to see what the world looks like then? Sure.
Yeah.
Is it going to happen? Probably not. We all have a time, on this earth. And right now, we haven't figured out how to like get someone to live 400 years. So I'm just going to have to miss out on it. But it would be cool. And I would say I'm jealous to future generations that will be able to live that. But at the same time, it's just like how people are Gen Zers are rediscovering the cassette tapes right now. Like, man, I grew up with cassette tapes. Like, I wish you would give me a car with a cassette tape in it, like in it right now. And these are the kids that are like, oh, I'm looking for a used car that has a cassette tape deck. Like, you have no idea.
Well, what's funny is I had a car that had a cassette tape that was connected to a phone, like the old I don't even, what the hell do you call it? Lightning adapter? I don't know. The 3.5 millimeter. So I was like,
3.5 millimeter. Yeah.
I had the edge. I had the cusp, the cassette and the modern time, which is, I thought that was funny. That you could just buy that. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. True. That's true. Matt Clausen said, next up on VentureCast, multiverse theory, yay or nay? Yeah, who knew we were getting to physics talk? Or I guess Existential talk now. Josh Gable said classic Star Trek time loops, which is actually a perfect segue because I wanted to ask you about your setup. You mentioned earlier a few nerdy things, right? You're a big nerd, like you said, and and you have a
Yep.
whole setup. Things that I noticed that were on your setup were like, well, I saw Mario, I saw Disney stuff, I saw Star Wars, a few other things. But what's the deal with all those figures, man? What's going on?
Oh, yeah, I call it the wall of my childhood, to be completely honest.
Hmm.
And everything on there resonates to my childhood in some way, shape, or form. But you're not incorrect. There's Star Wars, there's Disney. Disney owns my entire childhood now. They've acquired everything. There's some tech on there as well. But to start off, Star Wars, the
Hmm.
Stormtroopers are my absolute favorite. Like, I literally have a collection of Stormtroopers. For some reason, when the first Star Wars movie, it's older than I am, but when the first Star Wars movie came out, that first scene where Vader comes out of the hallway and the Stormtroopers come running in, yes, they get gunned down or whatnot, or everyone else in the hallway gets gunned down, but I've always just loved Stormtroopers since that moment. And it has to be the Imperial ones. First order ones are a joke to me. And so if I get any type of first order ones that go on the bottom shelves, all the Imperial ones go on the top shelves. But that's where my Star Wars affinity started. So it's really, I have a thing for Stormtroopers, and then Star Wars kind of followed. And I've always followed the wrong, well, that depends on who you ask, but people say the wrong side. So I'm a Boba Fett fan. I support the dark side of the Star Wars canon. Like, I don't like it. I'm not saying I'm against the Jedis. I'm just like, yo, the dark side folks get a bad rap. Like, Anakin should be pissed. And I think everything he did was kind of valid. Now, was there a better way of handling it? Yes. Is this a very dysfunctional family? Absolutely. But I don't have a problem with Darth Vader. But it's really just about Stormtroopers for me. Other than that, everything else. So, like, for example, up here is a Google Pixel 1. It's a grid that I got for Christmas, birthday. I forgot when my wife gave this to me. But I am a tech nerd. I have so many phones. I like, Samsung's new phone just came out, and I'm like, when am I gonna go pick it up? Like, I'm gonna go get it. Do I need a new phone? Absolutely not. But I'm probably gonna go get it anyway because I just like those. And I'm a Google fanboy. With Google, when they first went public, I got stock as a gift from them, and I studied them. And in high school, in my like economics class in senior year. So I spent my entire senior year focusing on like the .com bubble era, and Google was like my statement like company at that point. And so I spent literally, like I said, an entire school year focused on Google, and I've always just been a Google person. So that's why I still to this day, I buy Pixel phones. I've had every single Pixel phone they've released, and it's because that particular moment in my life really got me into like Larry Page and Sergey Brin and Sundar Pichai and those particular people. And so that was like a nod to that, to like the first Pixel phone. I don't have my first Pixel phone anymore, so I really appreciated this one because, like I said, it's blown up. And then lots of Legos. So I still build Legos. It's one of my free time passions. And then I also collect shoes. So this is actually a gift from my mother-in-law. It's a Adidas Superstar, but it's also made out of Lego. And so as an affinity for my shoe collection that I also have, she got me that gift because it's like, it's shoes and it's Lego. He has to like it. And of course I did. I absolutely love it. And so that's it. And then everything else, like, let's see, the comic book stuff. So not recent Marvel, but like most Marvel. So I have two older brothers. I'm the youngest of four. My sister's the oldest out of all of us. But growing up, my two older brothers never let me touch their comic books. And so, yeah. But the thing is, and that's not a bad thing, but the thing is that they would literally read me their comics as like stories, like bedtime stories. Like, hey, I'm about to read the new Iron Man. And you want to sit down with me and read it. And as as a little brother, I will never forget those moments of my life. They're like those moments that just resonate with me forever. and Iron Man was always my favorite story. And so that's where like a lot of the Marvel stuff, the Iron Man stuff behind me comes from. It's like I've always been a huge Iron Man fan because I will remember my oldest brother forever sitting down with me, like, hey, I got the new Iron Man comic. Let's go read it together. Like those types of things. Actually, to that point, it's one of the main reasons. One, I love my brother, of course, but I actually named my son after my oldest brother as well. So they share the same name. And then video games. I actually am not a big video game person, to be completely honest. But once again, you are correct. There is a Lego Nintendo set up there. I have an Atari set as well. One is because, very similar to comic books, back in the day, those consoles only had a player 1 and player 2. You could only plug in 2 controllers. It wasn't until like I think like Sega Dreamcast, which we didn't have growing up, or Nintendo 64, which my brothers were out of the house and then off to college by the time it came out anyway, where you could actually have more than 2 players. And so once again, that ties back to them as well. It's like I remember like the old Blockbuster Video days after school on Friday. My mom would take us to Blockbuster Video. We'd rent a game for the weekend and, of course, have to take it back on Sunday. But I never got to play because I was player 3 and there was only 2 players. So once again, it was a tie back to my childhood in a way, growing up, and, of course, to my brothers, my 2 older brothers.
That's that's pretty cool, man. I like
everything on there has a story in some way, shape, or form.
Gotcha. That's great, and I'm feeling a little nostalgic because it's very similar to me. Not all the in particular stories, but I'm also the youngest of 4 as well, with probably similar age gaps as you and them, which is interesting. Also, I wanted to mention because Richie is like one of the most diehard Star Wars fans out there, so he wanted to ask you. He's happy about the conversation. He wanted to ask you, how do you say AT-AT?
I say it that way. It's not a it's a AT-AT.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't even realize that was I've never watched it, and he berates me for it. So, and then also, Luke's Points of Miles is in here, and he said, "Did I walk into a super nerd out? I'm not interested unless we're throwing
dice." Yes, you did, Luke. You totally 100% did.
He said,
"Apologies in advance."
He said, "I'm not interested unless we're throwing dice with some Dungeons and Dragons," which I know I've seen you wear a shirt with Dungeons and Dragons, so you played that.
Also, nod to my oldest brother. I learned that from him. So, movie wasn't so great, but the game's pretty fun, and I'm happy to like. Luke, if we can find a way to like get online and do some like D&D, let's do it.
Oh God, Luke, did you play too? I never played that. I feel like I'm on the outside. I played like my version of that, not a board game, but it was online early to mid 2000s. Was RuneScape. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's basically massive multiplayer online role playing game, right? So you go online, you create a character, and you can just build them through the storyline, and I love doing that stuff. Train your woodcutting skill, train your attacking skill. So I love all that stuff. That's funny. Okay, so there's a lot of references in the chat. I know you can't see the chat, but there's a lot of references that I just
it pops
unfamiliar with.
Yeah, it pops up, but it fades away. Oh, so I'm not like trying to like start reading it because then it would like take my concentration away from what you're saying.
Gotcha. I think it was Michael Wong. He asked you if you want to even mention it, but what is your most prized Marvel comic?
Great question. I actually don't have a single comic. I've never bought a comic. I don't own a single comic book. But we actually, as a family, we actually still have every single comic book that my 2 older brothers have. We have saved them, we have shrink wrapped them, we have air sealed them, and they are sitting in the house that we grew up in back in the Midwest. They're sitting in the attic up there, like completely protected and preserved at the moment. But I've never actually bought one. I never needed to because they had so many.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's funny how we all have these little collectibles, growing up. If we had better hindsight, all of us would be very, very wealthy with all the collectibles we had growing up. Like I had so many premium Pokemon cards that I have no idea where they are at the moment. Yu-Gi-Oh cards too, all these different types of cards. Also figures. Like I used to have tons of Marvel and X-Men, bunch of even Pokemon figures at that, but a lot of that stuff, and you know, you want to have fun with it, you play with the packaging, but it's it would be a lot cooler if I still had that like 10-foot tall Apocalypse figure in box. Like that would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I was actually, um, it's a Lego resale site. So like I
Hmm.
mentioned, I have a huge shoe collection. And so if you don't know anything about the shoe collection, you know that resale is king. But one of the actual biggest niches in reselling is Lego. And then
Hmm.
I went on this one site, and it's actually owned by Lego, where you can just buy old sets that are discontinued, like from the whatever 80s or 90s, whatever. And they're like, hey, like this particular set right here, if you had like all the pieces, it still doesn't have to be new condition. You get the original box, but all the pieces, even if they're like taken out of the packaging or whatnot, you can get like $9,000 for it. And I'm like, I had that set, and it's like, man, if I would have known, I would have took way better care instead of just the shoebox that like my kid Legos are in now. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, man, like I'm not gonna go touch that stuff anymore. That could have been a huge payday if I had known, but what 9-year-old knows, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's very few people that have anything that's preserved. Yeah, into their adulthood. But so you said like shoe collections. You have that's another thing that you're a collector of.
Yeah, a very avid and big collector of it. Yes. I
Hmm.
been collecting shoes since my very first job that I ever was in a shoe store. And
Hmm.
that's where it started. And I know Matt Clausen asked me a question about this previously, and it's actually one of the things that got me into how I am very advantageous in the points and miles game. And it's because growing up, like you wanted the good Jordans, you wanted the good Air Force Ones, and these were like back in the days where you had to like wake up early on a Saturday, stand in line outside of a shoe
Hmm.
store at a mall or something like that. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't like standing in lines, period. I just hate it. Absolutely. I think I've even mentioned it in a video, especially about like global entry. I don't want to
Hmm.
stand in line. I just want to walk through, scan my face, and go. Like, do not let me stand in a slow moving line. But anyway, um, my very first job, one of the reasons why I picked or went to the shoe store to try to get the job there was because two things. One, employees got first dibs on new releases because they were
Hmm.
employed. So now I don't have to wait in line. I just have to work there. And the second thing is employees got a discount on the shoes there. So now I'm guaranteed to get them and I'm getting them for less at the same time. And I was like, and also this is my job. I'm also getting paid at the same time. So it was like a trifecta win for me. Um, and that is literally what involved into, hey, I can do this with travel. I can do this through this. I can do this with credit cards. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, my shoe collection as a teenager in high school has transformed to travel for free.
Wow, that's that's not necessarily the throughput you would always imagine. Before we actually transition to that, I've been watching these videos on TikTok. This guy Rami, and he goes through and he's I don't know what store he works in, but people bring in these shoes all the time, and whether they're fake or they're real, he'll offer the money for it. But he has like little tests to make sure that the shoes are real, and it's always very fun to see what people bring in there. Do you have like a favorite pair or one that you would say is like your prized possession for shoes?
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't say there's one though. There's a couple.
Hmm.
One of my absolute favorites that I've not even worn is a very limited pair. There's only like 500 of them in the world, and
Hmm.
ironically enough, it's a stormtrooper pair. It's
Oh
literally
my
a pair
god!
of Adidas that it looks like a stormtrooper helmet. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and it doesn't even come in a box. It comes in like this like plastic case that looks like um, Richie or Michael drop. I'm having a brain fart on not the Lucas site. You know what? Carbonite. There we go. Carbonite.
Hmm.
What like Han Solo was like sealed in. There we go. So it actually looks like they were sealed in that. And so I have taken one shoe out and made sure that it fits. Didn't even undo the laces, and then I put it right back, and I've never touched it again. But it is like my favorite pair in my entire collection. And then I have a couple others that are really nice that I keep around. So it's not all like Nikes and Jordans. I'm a huge fan of Ultra Boosts as well. Super comfortable. If you catch me at the airport, I'm in a pair of Ultra Boosts. I will not fly without a pair of Ultra Boosts on by
Wow.
Adidas. But I do have some like high-end luxury ones like Mason Margiela as well. And like some of those that are super rare. I have 2 pair that are one of my favorites as well. And then Virgil Abloh, rest in peace. He recently died. He's the founder of Off-White, the fashion brand. So they did a lot of collaborations right before he passed away, like a couple of years before he passed away with Nike. So he has like Air Maxes and Jordans and things like that he's done. And I was actually able to get a couple of pair at retail versus resale. And so I've only worn maybe once or twice, and I've had them for like years. And it's only because, one, I know I'll never be able to get them again. But at the same time, I was such a huge fan of his design style, his creative style, of course, you know, his advocacy to the Black community and things like that. So I always support it. So those also have a special place in my heart. Also because even more so now that you won't be able to get his style anymore because he's passed away.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. I also want to mention, Richie said he has a pair of Stormtrooper Converse Chucks. So I assume that's pretty good. And Luke says, I have several pair of Star Wars Adidas. I have the Yodas that look like Stan Smith, and he's never seen a pair on sale before. And MR says he has Star Wars watches from Nixon, and they were dope AF. You know, the more I talk to more people in this space, the credit card community, the more I realize a correlation between almost like gaming, but gaming the system, not necessarily video games, collecting and Star Wars. For some reason, that all three go in hand. Aside from me, obviously, because I never saw Star Wars. But what do you think there's a correlation between like being a collector and getting into credit cards, and even somehow Star Wars being into that?
Yeah. One, Star Wars as a marketing franchise is the #1 merchandising franchise in the history of Earth. It literally has made more money than anything. And I actually love that story because if you know the actual true Star Wars story with George Lucas, like everyone bet against him. Everyone said, yo, your books are horrible and these movies would never sell. And when he finally got a deal to a studio to help, you know, produce the movies. And if you also know the story, the first 3 movies are books 4, 5, and 6. They're actually in the middle of the whole canon versus like the first 3 and the last 3. But they're like, dude, this stuff would never sell. We'll give you a shot because like at least people will pay attention to this. Like this is like the family storyline part, and the Darth Vader stuff. Like people really like resonate with that because it's like you see this bad guy get what's coming to him. He doesn't really, but you see what, you know, that's those 3, like Darth Vader gets what's coming to him type of scenario. And so he sold everything, not everything, but he had to share the rights to everything except for no one took the merchandising rights. Everyone's like, no one's ever going to buy this stuff. And that's literally like what made him a multi-billionaire was the merchandising of Star Wars. Now go find someone that doesn't collaborate with Star Wars in some way, shape, or form. You can go to Auntie Anne's at the pretzel place in the mall, and I guarantee you they have like a Star Wars pretzel probably. Like everyone collaborates with Star Wars in some way, and still to this day, he owns 100% of those merchandising rights. And I think that is literally like one of the best stories ever. Like, don't bet against people. You never actually know what's going to end up happening. And so nowadays, I mean, there's someone like kicking themselves, like the same dude in London that told the Beatles that they'll never make it. Like, you take the stupid idea, like bet on the stupid idea. That's all I can really say.
Wow. I see. I wasn't aware of that. That's a crazy story, and I'd imagine a lot of that is, like you said, being able to make some money to have this merchandise. But I guess there's I was not aware of this, but now I'm thinking of it. Just like everything else, music, whatever, you sell the rights to a thing or a percentage of it, and you lose, a cut of those profits over X amount of years. So that's pretty crazy. And are they the only ones to do that, or there's others, but maybe they're just the biggest? Do you think?
There's definitely others. Like there's the same story with Jell-O, the dude that invented Jell-O, the actual like compound that we know today as gelatin. Literally sold that patent for about $5,000. And once again, dude, did you know what you had there? Like, and the thing is, well, I don't want to like speak for them. I don't know their life. Of course, I wasn't around at that time. I don't know anything about that story. But because like, yeah, $5,000 for him could have been like life-changing money back in the
Yeah.
day. But at the same time, it's like, if you start getting a bunch of phone calls like, hey, you want to sell that stormtrooper helmet? I'm going to start thinking twice about, wait a sec, how much is that stormtrooper helmet worth?
Yeah. Which you might have some people now after this podcast asking you for those stormtrooper shoes in the, what is it, Caldenite, as you say, or carbonite?
Carbonite.
Carbonite.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up after because I imagine it looks cool. So so okay, so as a good segue from here, I'm
That was a
curious
long
about all
first
this.
question.
I told you, like we tried to prepare this before. I was like, this is gonna be curiosity that really drives most of it. But I guess part of that, like you mentioned a few times, how shoes and that whole business brought you to credit cards. There's some sort of a correlation between things like that. What about the credit card game? You said it came from shoes, but where did that kind of fully start? The things that you talk about mainly on your channel.
Yeah. So credit cards actually came after travel hacking and travel strategy for me. And the reason why is because somewhere between shoes and what I do today, I actually had another job within the music industry that allowed me to like travel all the time. And so within that, I was on different airplanes, different airlines, different brands all the time. And of course, when you do that, even if you fly for work, you get to keep the miles, like the frequent flyer miles or whatnot. It wasn't until I got to a point where I took a personal trip. So I got out of, I stopped working for the person I was working for in the music industry, and I went independent with my own my very first company, but a very separate company in the music industry. But that still required me to like fly to like New York and LA like all the time. And I had a moment where I realized, like, and I still remember, and it was on an American flight, believe it or not. I know chat's probably gonna be like, wait, he flew American? But yeah, it was on an American flight where I flew across the country for $10 because I had so many miles saved up. Where it's like, oh, I need to book this trip to LA, and I booked this trip, and I'm like, sure, let's use my miles. And at the end, it was like, pay $5 in taxes one way and $5 in taxes the other. And I'm like, I just flew across the country for $10. Wait a second, what just happened? And how can I make this happen more often? And that got me into the credit card aspect of, if I get more miles, I can do this more often. Now, I grew up in the Midwest, so I am an Illinois born and bred person. And in Chicago, that's where United's headquarters is. And so I was always in or around a United hub. And at the same time, like, so I have ORD, Denver, where Chad's at right now, EWR, which is Newark, that can get you to New York, LAX, which is another hub for United. So I was just realizing, well, even at not necessarily Atlanta, I know that's not a United hub, but United does fly there. But everywhere I needed to go for my first business, United could get me there. And at the same time, also got me back home. So it's like, wherever I'm at, United will literally get me 30 minutes away from my parents' house if I need to, or back to Chicago if I need to. And so that's why I just like, you know what, instead of flying all these different airlines and getting 20,000 miles for flying over here and 10,000 for flying on Delta or whatever, like, why don't I just all focus and funnel all that in to one airline that I could use for business or for personal? And so it ended up being United, because it's like, I don't need diversification. I just need to get from point A to point B. And so that's why, and I think in one of my older videos, I actually mentioned my United Mileage Plus Explorer card is the very first travel card that I got. And that's the reason why, is because I decided I'm going to fully focus on United. So now every dollar I spend gets me miles. Every time I fly, I get miles. Everything I did got me United miles. And that's why I still, to this day, I can't get rid of United miles. I still have that mentality, and everything kind of folds and focuses into it. And I know we've had other conversations. People left me comments like, why do you use the Chase Travel Portal? And it's because, well, I can use my points, which technically is a discount, and when I buy my United flight, and then I still get miles again from United when I actually take the flight. So it's like, if this costs me 50,000 points, or it would have cost me 75,000 points, being hypothetical here. I could use 50,000 Chase points, and then I'll get 30,000 United miles when I actually take the flight. So I'm just like, so did I really spend 50,000 points? Because I can use those miles again later. And I know you're also going to ask me about the hotel thing. Why I don't have hotel cards is because I use my United miles to book my hotels as well for $0. So it's like, United miles are very, very, very beneficial to me. They have a good amount of weight when it comes to currency and value. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep using United. I'm going to keep flying United because I can, even though they're not very flexible, they're very flexible with United on how I can use them.
And yeah, you knew exactly where I was wanting to head with that, because yeah, you mentioned you don't have any hotel cards. I know there's been talks recently, maybe you're thinking about it, getting some hotel cards, but I think in past videos you mentioned like there's no need for me to have a hotel card. I can use my miles to pay for the hotel. And I was like,
Yep.
what does he mean by that? What do you mean by that? So how are you paying for hotels with your United miles? I need to know.
Yeah, if you go, well, it's no secret. Just go to United's website, literally. And
Really?
right at the top, instead of booking a flight, you can just tab over, or there's a separate link next to it that says for hotels. There's also one for rental cards as well, but just click on hotels. And I think it's through Expedia. Like that's the backbone that they use for it, but whatever. But you click on that and same thing, type in where you want to go, what city you're staying at, how many nights, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a global thing, so it works everywhere. And just start scrolling through your hotels. And one of the reasons why I really enjoy that is because it's not locked to a specific hotel brand. So you'll see Hyatt, you'll see Marriott, you'll see Intercontinental, you see Holiday Inn, you'll see, you might even see a Days Inn or a Best Western, whatever. It's all in there. And then depending on, of course, the level of luxury that you want, or how many nights you're going to stay. Do you want like the 2-bedroom suite at like the Homewood Suites, or do you want like a studio suite over here at Intercontinental? Whatever. You get to choose it just like you're booking any other hotel, and it tells you how many miles it would take. So once you book, you can actually pay for the entire hotel stay, and they'll fold the taxes into miles as well. So that's why when I say $0, I'm literally meaning $0.
Yeah. So that gets me wondering, because you mentioned earlier, like, I don't need to diversify. I just need to focus on one thing, just one program, and that can cover everything. So there is a mindset out there of points diversification. Like, I should have, Hilton points. I should have some Delta Sky miles, United miles. I should have American Express, membership award points. But you're not really about that necessarily. I know you have other cards too, but at least how it started, you're like, let's just funnel all of my. And of course, this can work for you because you said you have to fly United to these different hubs, right? But could you have done this with any other like program, you think?
Absolutely. You can do this with at least I'll say the big three for the US, the American, the Delta, United. You can do exactly what I said to any of those three, and it'll work the exact same way. You just have to have their specific miles to do it. And like I say, for me, because it's so easy for me to get United miles, whether it's using my card, which I barely ever do, transferring from Chase or Bilt or something like that, using United shopping portal, anything like of that nature, is so easy. And of course, flying United at the same time, it's so easy for me to get those miles that why would I try to go anywhere else? Why would I spend any effort, money, time funneling miles to Delta if I now I'd feel like with Delta, I would need 25,000 miles for a round trip ticket domestically. Why would I go out of my way to try to get 25,000 miles of Delta when I could, of course, just add that to the amount of miles that I already have with United? So for me, it was like, there's no point for me to look outward on it. And as I got, I don't want to say older, but more mature into the game. And when I say that, it's like my now wife, obviously at one point we were dating. And one of the things that I did was one of our very first dates, probably like our third date, I took her on a trip. Of course, I didn't pay for it, but I'm like, yeah, locked her in though, right?
Right.
Yeah, he locked her in really early.
Get on that United flight, right?
Yeah. And it was that particular, like, wait a sec, how were you able to do that? That's so easy for you. That really intrigued her to also be like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Why am I flying all these other airlines? And so she ended up going out and getting, well, using my referral, of course, getting a United Explorer card. So now we still to this day, we both have them. They're both active, using all the perks and everything like that. But we ended up getting so many miles at one point. Like one of our biggest trips that we took before becoming parents and pre-pandemic, whatever you want to call it, was to Asia. So we went from the US to Taiwan to across Indonesia. So we did parts of Indonesia and Bali. And literally, I did this trip with my best friend from grad school. So he and I, we always took at least one trip a year together. But now we're both in relationships, but he actually came with us on that trip. He proposed to his now wife on that trip as well. So that was like, yo, we need to figure out like how to get these women on here, because we're losing our trips every year now. And so we actually did that. But the kicker of it is that he paid cash for it. And on the trip, we were like, wait a sec, how'd you get that suite? How'd you get that room? And like, how'd you get business class for your 3 flights and all this other stuff? And you didn't pay for it. And that was like the first time where I realized like, yo, I think I have something here. Like that was the first time I realized like what I knew and how I did it. Most people didn't know like that level of information. And so after that, I just started leaning into it even more. But yeah, I've traveled to Taiwan and Indonesia and Bali and back with another adult, $0.
That is wild. That is wild. And the fact that you're doing it all with just the same currency, you're not doing all the crazy things, transferring here and there. And just, it's just one currency, and lack thereof diversification leads to some great experiences. That's really cool.
And it's the same thing if you use the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal. Yes, like as many know, I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and you get the 1.5. But at the same time, Chase will fold in the taxes, so you just pay your taxes with the points. So even the flight, so I'll buy my flights with my Chase points, and I'll buy my hotels with my United miles. But either way, the taxes are both folded into the miles or into the points. So that's why I literally say $0.
$0.
It costs me nothing out of pocket. It costs me extra nothing out of pocket.
Right. That's why you say I don't like paying money for for vacations. That's great. Interesting. And you're able to do international. Wow. That's pretty cool that's possible. I never really considered that. Also, I wanted to mention, because you mentioned the third date you took her on a trip. Did I miss it, or did you say what that trip was?
Oh no, I didn't say it, but it was to Vegas. We went to Vegas.
Very nice. Okay.
She had told me, she was like, because once again, same friend from grad school. Our birthdays are 6 months apart. So after we left grad school and we were living in different places, it was a way for us to always just like have a moment to ourselves. Like, so we always would throw each other's birthday party in Vegas every other 6 months. So every March we'd go to Vegas and he would throw my birthday party. And then every September I'd throw his party in Vegas, and we would stay at different places. And of course we would bring other friends and people like that around. But she had told me, she's like, hey, I've never been to Vegas before. I'm like, you've never been to Vegas? How have you never been to Vegas? I'm like, I go to Vegas twice a year. Like, we got to go. And so literally, like, where's my computer? And a weekend later, we were in Vegas.
Wow. That's awesome. And I also want to bring that up because third date, that's pretty bold, man. That's some crazy stuff.
I'm no Flexpert, but it was a flex. I'm not gonna lie. It worked though. It worked though.
Joe Barretto mentioned that on his third date, they went on a walk, him and his wife. So that's and Josh as well went on a walk for his
I went on a walk too, right down the jet bridge.
Right. And then Richie, he even better. He says, I don't think my wife and I figured out we were dating until number 4 or 5. That's love. That's love. Like Joe Barretto said. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. I think I also was a bit of a Flexpert when I don't know. I could see, we never, even to this day, never really date. I feel like we never really dated. I mean, we said, let's go do something fun. I never was like, I don't know, maybe I'm unaware because, I've never had other relationships or other people, but it's just like, let's just go do that. And I guess that's our date, but it was just like, we both had an agreement to do something cool. So we did that. Aside from like one of those first ones, which was, I took her to a place called The View in Manhattan. It was above the Marriott in Times Square, and it's a revolving rooftop restaurant.
Yep.
And that was like one of the first days. And I think she even jokingly said to me, she's like, "It's gonna be very hard to top this, okay?" Because she was upset when we went there because I told her like, "Oh, just dress, you look great like that," and it was like really upscale. And she's like, "You told me to dress like this for a place this nice?" Like, oh my god. So that was an amazing thing, and and I remember I was paying with a debit card back then, a Santander debit card was like $200. Like, oh my god, what am I doing? I said, "Is she the right one? Am I sure?" you know, and now I mean, we're still here, so that's fine. 5 years later, um, they like the Flexpert that you mentioned. They like that term.
I come up with those every now and then. Those
Yeah,
types of automagically. I say that every like in my regular everyday conversations. So
gotcha. Keith actually asked you, what about when United devalued everything last summer? How did you react to that?
I'm so used to it. It sucks, but I'm used to it. I know you're supposed to earn and burn. Don't let your miles sit around. I literally have a video that says, "Don't let your miles and points just sit there." I know it, but there's nothing you can do when a company wants to devalue their miles or points or anything like that. It sucks, and you just have to eat it. There's literally nothing you can do about it. So to Keith, I say, yeah, once again, it sucked, but at the same time, be prepared. And I've also said this in my videos, like I'll plan vacations more than a year out. And a lot of the times to avoid that devaluation, or if a devaluation is coming, you never know if it's actually going to come or not, is by planning out in advance. So like I am working on not just family vacations for myself, my wife and my son, but also, once again, my best friend from grad school. Now he has 2 kids. So we're actually, once again, we're keeping that tradition alive. One vacation between us every single year. But we're planning out vacations already for 2025 for us. And if we can, like, if it's available, I know a lot of times like a hotel or airline won't do anything over 11 months out or 12 months out. But the fact that we know exactly what we want, and if we get to that, 11th month day one, just book it. Literally just book it right then and there to avoid the devaluation of what could be devalued or what could end up happening. And you also get like guarantee the best seat that you want, like the best room that you want, the best hotel you want, because not too many people are thinking that far. Most people only plan between 6 and 7 months out on average.
Do you does United do a thing where because I just haven't experienced that many airline programs, but Delta has this thing where if I book main cabin, I get to switch the flight, and I could even get miles reimbursed if the flight that I'm changing to is cheaper. Is that like universal? Does United do that as well?
United does do it. It depends on the situation. Because actually, I would say 2 factors. One, it depends on the situation. And 2, I've said this a million times, that United takes really great care of their loyalists, where I know they've bent and broken rules for me before just because of my loyalty and status that I have with them. And like a really great example is one time my parents came out to come visit me. They booked their own trip and everything on United. It had nothing to do with me. And I had saw that like their flight home had 2 connections in it. I'm like, 2 connections in the US is absurd. No. And so I called United and said, hey, can you do something for my parents? And they ended up rerouting them to only 1 connection for me as a favor. So like I said, I'm not on the reservation, had nothing to do with it. But I know that's not something that could be done or should have been done. But that's one of the many reasons, like, United takes care of me. I'll take care of United. I'll fly on them every chance that I possibly get. There's only one instance on which I would not consider flying United, and I do have aspirational travel goals to fly La Premiere on Air France, but so I have to fly on Air France to do that. But other than that, I 100% always go to United first.
Wow. So there's 2 things I want to ask about. So the second thing would be like talking about. Oh yeah, sorry.
I'm about to. My wife and son are just got home. I'm going to close this door so he doesn't run in here.
Cool.
Or else all of you are going to be introduced to him in the most comedic way ever.
Jeez. So there's 2 things I want to ask. The second thing is going to be, I'm just putting this there so I remember. But like your favorite flights for internationally with United and stuff like that. But the first one is, like, off the top of my head, Matt Clausen and I think a few other people have been interested in United ever since you started talking about it. Um, what would you say, like, for the credit card? So you have the Mileage Club. That was one of your first credit cards.
Yeah.
What are the main benefits of that alone? Just getting that credit card.
Yeah. So there's a lot of them actually, and I'll try to use them. Well, I'll say a lot of them have been cannibalized at this point by my Chase Sapphire Reserve, but there's still some that are still relatively beneficial. So when I book with United, I don't always book my flights. So I will use an award flight. Like, once again, not to flex, but right now I have over 400, I have almost 500,000 United miles right now, which means if I don't use them, like Keith had mentioned, they could get devalued or something like that. So I might go take a trip to go see my brother or something like that. And I'll just book it with the award flight, just all miles, whatever, get it out of the way. But the thing is because I have the card, I will instantly be put on the upgrade list, period. So, and because of my status, I'm going to be one of the top on the upgrade list because, like, hey, not only are you a loyal flyer, you're also a card holder, which means a lot to us as well. So what I mean when I say that is, first off, the first thing is I never get an economy seat. At the very, very, very least, they'll give me premium economy at $0. Like, I don't have to do anything, just go book one of the blue seats. And if it's like a 787 or a 777 Dreamliner or something, one of those large ones that have the Polaris business class with the lay flats, but then they have that purple section in the middle with like 22 seats, I can get one of those for free. Like, I don't have to pay for those if it's one of those particular flights. And that's all because status and the card. Now, the thing is, first off, to answer your question is, I will book a economy seat at the economy price and at least get economy plus for free. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, if depending on the flight, then yes, I will probably either put in the purple section, the premium plus, or just given first class upgrade. And then that happens for everyone. So even if I'm flying with my wife, I'm going to put her on my reservation instead of her using her own card, because now she'll get all the benefits that I get from my card through me and my status. The other thing is free check bag, which is slightly irrelevant because of status now. Because of my status, I get 3 bags up to 70 pounds each for the first 2 people. So being a new father comes out great because I have to take a car seat, have to take a stroller. So there's 2 bags already eaten up right there before we can get to the rest of our luggage. But now my wife can't pack light to save her life. If it was like, if your bag is not under 40 pounds, this plane's going down, like, brace for impact. Like, she just cannot pack light. So that really also helps a lot as well to have that extra weight boost on top of that. If in the event I don't get upgraded, or I just buy an economy seat, I'll get 1 free meal for sitting in economy. So when they bring the cart by, whatever's in the Hemispheres magazine, like if I want a tapas box, one of those snack boxes, or a burger or something like that, they just give it to me for free because I hold the card. My reservation sees, even if I didn't pay with the card, like I said, if I use miles or if I use Chase or whatever, my reservation, my frequent flyer number says I have the card in their system, and they just give it to me for free. Same thing, I'll get, I don't drink alcohol, but I get free alcoholic drinks on the flight. I usually end up like giving them to somebody else because I'm like, hey, like, if I'm sitting next to Anthony, I'm like, hey, this is a cool dude. Like, what do you want to drink? Gin and tonic? Can I get a gin and tonic? Sure. And then I just pass it to you.
Wow.
Priority boarding. I can't even tell you the last time I was behind group at least 2 on a bad day. So if you go sign up for the card today, you will always be at least in group 2, period. And that's guaranteed. You can put your carry-on in the overhead bin above you. Even if you're sitting last row, middle seat next to the bathroom, like, you will get on the plane and have room for your overhead bag. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people, like the gate pushers, everyone wants to get on the plane as fast as they possibly can. I'm like, this is a huge benefit. Like, especially if you went on like book through Google Flights or Expedia, Kayak, Cheapo Air, whatever other third-party website, Priceline, etc., you're instantly in group 5. Like, people don't understand that. Like, you're instantly in group 5 when you do that. But if you have the card and you just book through United, which basically comes out to be almost the same price, like those third-party websites don't really give you that great of a discount unless it's really, 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 really last minute. Like, you're on the way to the airport trying to book it. You might as well just get this card, and now you'll guarantee you can sit in comfort. You'll have group 2, and then, like I say, the other aspect is those 2 United Club passes. I'm not huge on lounges. Like, I understand the benefit of a lounge. I don't mind it. I actually cap my bougie when it comes to a lounge. So it's like Centurion Lounge. I don't care. I've seen them. I've been to them. I just want a place to sit that's quiet. And if the food is okay, I don't need a 5-star meal at the airport. And the other aspect about lounges is I'd rather sit at home and just go to the airport and get on the plane versus let me go to the airport 3 hours early just so I can go sit in the lounge. Like, that's not me. But if I have a connection, and United clubs are only in the US anyways, but if I had like a connection, like Chad sitting in Denver right now, those United club passes come in super duper handy versus priority pass. Because it's like, I go in the app, I look for a priority pass, and it's like, yeah, that's in terminal 2 and I'm in terminal like 4. I'm like, I'm not going over there. Like, kill yourself. I'm not making that walk. And then I got to walk back to my gates through that. But you know what's right next to me? United Club. Boom. It's right there. So that's why those things are like very, 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 very beneficial to me, and why I keep the card. Like, I even mentioned it in my United card video. I'm actually doing a part 2 to that video. I'm writing the script for it now. But I don't actually use this card every day. I don't use it for anything. I only use it when I'm on the United flight. So let's say I actually do want to buy something, I get 25% off just because I like bought a cheeseburger. I get 25% off. I buy Wi-Fi, get 25% off if I need to or whatnot. But yeah, like, these are all perks that come from just holding the card. I can't tell you the last time I actually went anywhere and swiped that card or went online and bought something and used that card as my payment option. I can't tell you the last time I actually did it.
Interesting. Yeah. And I'm again remiss. I'm a little bit late to it, but I appreciate your pride. 909 came in with a 10 spot super chat. I appreciate you. He said, I just beat the 524 rule on Chase at 6 more months until I was out of 524. Just got approved for the flex now, and now I have their trifecta. Wow, you beat 524 with a flex. That is a flex, actually. That's you don't really hear too many people actually attempt to get a flex over 524. Usually it's, in cards like the rest of us, freaking crazy people.
That's the true Flexpert right there.
That's so you're the real Flexpert pride. I appreciate you coming with that 10 spot, man. I really appreciate that, as well as Joe from earlier. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, it seems like 524 has been a little relaxed as of late, but still, there's a lot of people that I still see comments from that are being denied, and then they're calling recon, and they're still saying like, "Oh, denied for 524." Like, they're actually stating those data points. So it's something to keep in mind. So thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate you. Also, what did I see? Oh yeah, Kiki, you asked what card that we're actually talking about. So it's called, what is it? United Mileage Club Express
Explore.
Okay. Gotcha. That is pretty cool to hear all those things. It actually makes me want to start, like, this whole conversation actually makes me want to start delving into the world of United a little bit. I've just been afraid because I've only used, well, JetBlue and Delta. They've given me good, they've given me good times so far. So I'm a little bit wary, like, oh, do I move on to the next? What if I have a bad experience? But now you're telling me this, I'm kind of interested in United, especially since I think we were in Atlanta when we were going to Vegas. I had a connection there. I think there was a United club there. And I was like, oh, I wonder how those are. And you don't really meet too many people who are in the United world. So, but you're saying that you like the United clubs, like it's just a place to hang out and and whatnot, right?
They're not bad. They're not. They're nice. They're quiet. They have very strong Wi-Fi. Every single one that I've been to in this country has a very strong Wi-Fi, except for the one in the C terminals at Newark EWR Airport that's been under construction. Is like just forever under construction. I would love to actually see them finish that. But over the holiday, I flew through Chicago ORD, and there's a brand new one that they just finished in the C terminal next to the Polaris Lounge. And that thing is like ridiculously nice. And now that I'm thinking of it, I probably should have recorded some videos, but I was in dad mode.
Yeah, it's hard to remember.
I'm thinking of Chad right now, how Chad just went live like in every lounge and every aspect of his Italy trip. I'm like, you know what? I should do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the funny thing about like getting into the game of like creating content is you literally like whip the phone out like crazy. Like horizontal, okay, let's just get a quick thing because I know I'm going to use it at some point. I'm going to need it sometime. So that's
Well,
definitely.
when you're chasing a 1-year-old, you don't think about your phone.
No.
And also,
Well,
like when I'm with him, I really just want to be with him. So I'm like, how do I create that balance between being a content creator and being a husband and father? And I'm always going to lean on the husband and father side first.
Well, look, God gave you 2 hands for a reason. There's a reason phones aren't needed for 2 hands. So one hand on the back, one hand on the phone.
Oh, I'm turning them into a little cinematographer, photographer. Like I'll let them play with my cameras and things like that. And like, yo, this is how you hold it, and then this takes they're horrible pictures, but hey, like he'll get better. He'll get better.
Yes. Yeah. You're like, well, you aim it at daddy, and then you hit record, and then you just stand there, do nothing. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's funny. Matt Clausen also agrees he's going to get the United card because of Lani. Just don't know which and when. And likewise, Josh says likewise. And actually, honestly, likewise for me as well.
I got referral links on my link tree, people. I'd appreciate it.
So that brings me to, all right, so you outlined how, all the benefits from the card, which is intriguing to me. I mean, it's the reason, part of the reasons why I got the Delta SkyMiles card anyway. It's just, check bags for free and stuff like that. But you never swipe it, of course. Club lounges you like. And then I wanted to also ask about the high-end level, because more lately, I've been talking more about how I've been trying to strive to hit the luxury side of things. And for me, that's been hotels as of late. And then I'm hoping in the next couple of years, it's hotels and flights and stuff like that. So what does the highest end of United kind of look like in your view?
Yeah. So well, I can only answer for their flights, their airline, of course. But in the US, we call it first class, is really global business class. Like real first class is only on like go to Emirates, go to Etihad, go to, Air France or La Premiere. That's first class. Like the big seats that we get and the lay flats that we get, that's what everyone else in the world calls business class. And so for United, that's what Polaris is. And once again, not to put a cap on bougie, it's great for me. Like I'm 5'11", so if I'm on a long haul flight, if it's 6 hours or more, give me the lay flat seat. I can muster premium plus or premium economy if it's like a 4-hour flight. Like I can do it. I might complain a couple of times, but I can do it. But their Polaris class is their top tier luxury. And is it nice? Sure. Is it worth it? Sure. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Like, are there going to be crumbs on the edge of your seat in the little crack? Probably, just like in every other airline. Should you take your own Lysol wipes and wipe it down? 100%. Did you use the pillow? Absolutely not. Like, but is it good? Yeah, it's great. And just be prepared that it's a U.S. airline. Any other thing is turn and burn. They park it, they walk off, they throw some trash away, and then they start loading people back on again. I'm not going to say I'm a germaphobe, but I am going to let you know. It's like, you're going to find crumbs. It's an airplane, just like any other airplane. But for the level of luxury, the comfort that you get, the entertainment factor. So like most of the times, movies that recently just left theaters instantly are on like the in-flight entertainment for United. And so like even before I can like rent it or download it from like Google Play Movies or Apple Movies or wherever you're downloading your movies from, it's already on United. Like it's on United Flight before it's on HBO. And so for me, it's like, great. I was going to watch that movie anyway. I don't want to rent it. I'm not going to go to the theater, see it, because I have a flight coming up next month. It's probably going to be on there. And I can't tell you how many times that movie has actually been on there. So like even the in-flight entertainment is top notch. And it's like a 15-inch screen in the Polaris class, sitting up in those front of those seats, in the front of the plane, in those particular lay flat seats.
Yeah.
Also, you get extra room. So for us tall folks, I need to spread my legs, not spread them out, but I need to stretch them out. And speaking of that, hot tip, if anyone's flying on a United Polaris class flight, I will tell you this, and the reason why is that they do their seats in this weird configuration. One, if you're traveling with someone else, sit in the middle, because those are companion seats. So they have like individual ones that face away like this. And then in the odd rows, they are parallel to each other. So you're like, in this case, Anthony, you and your wife could like literally like be elbow to elbow if you just drop the window down. But if you're not, sit on the window sides, because those are completely individual. They're, you know, very independent, very private and everything like that. But they're also in the same way. So one seat would be like tilted like this towards the aisle, and the other one would be right behind it like this. So you want to sit in the odd row because you're closer to the window, but sit in row 1 or row 9. And the reason why is because this seat in front of you, if you're sitting there, that footwell is actually like cut off because of the person's seat in front of you. So you only get like this small little triangle to like squeeze your feet into. But if you sit in row 1 or 9, which are bulkhead seats, there's no one sitting in front of you. It's just a wall. So you get the entire like cubby hole. Like I can put my backpack and my feet and swing them around in there. So sit in row 1 or row 9 against the windows on the left or the right. That's my hot tip for United.
Interesting. Okay. And it brings me to what Richie just said. He said, does Lani work for United or what? Because he's selling me on it.
Nope. They actually asked me at one time if I would be interested in joining their company to do like a L&D, learning and development role, and I denied them.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that just because you put an application in, or is it from just being so into their program or in the know?
No, it was, I got pegged for it. This was like years ago, before ever becoming a YouTube creator or anything like that. But I used to do, obviously, as it's no surprise, I have a marketing background, but I also used to do learning and development. I mentioned before, I used to work for Verizon. I don't work for them anymore, but I've done so many different roles within Verizon. And one of them was learning and development. And so I was writing all these types of training courses and things like that, how to explain information to like their sales reps and things, those training courses for their frontline sales reps. And from that, someone like referred me to this person at United. This was in Chicago. I was literally living in Chicago. And they're like, hey, why don't you come by Willis Tower? We'd like to have a talk with you. We got this role. And I'm like, that's not for me. So, but that's my closest thing to ever being employed by United. I actually went to talk to them about a job once.
Gotcha. Once. That's funny. Okay. So something, unless I'm wrong about this, I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, but I remember seeing comments from you in the Discord, just talking as we do in there. So if you're not already a member, join the Discord. It's always good in there. And you've mentioned like in the past, like there's no need for you to have a hotel card whatsoever. But am I right in assuming that you've been thinking about it lately?
I will always consider it. I am never gonna say, I will never get a hotel card. But it has to make sense. And this goes back to do your research, and like my travel strategy from front to end, the way that I use cards, the way that I book trips, the way that I actually redeem my points and miles works for me. And it's a system for me. It might not work for everyone, but for me, it's not broken. And so if I want to get another card, it has to fit into my system. I'm not going to go out of my way not just the hotel cards. I don't have an Amex Platinum card. I've never had an Amex Platinum card because it doesn't work for me. It doesn't make any sense for me to get that card. I'm not just talking about the annual fee. I'm just talking like how I would spend it. Like, oh, you get 5x on flights. Well, I don't pay for flights. So but then you get all these credits, and we don't even need to go into those credits. Like I don't shop at Saks. I don't go to Equinox. This is literally a card that doesn't work for me. And hotel cards are almost in the exact same vein of, I've had this conversation with multiple people, and they're like, but you can get this free night. And I'm like, but that's a $450 annual fee. So it's not a free night. I'm paying $450 for a free night. And to get that free night, I have to spend another $4,000 to even, qualify for that in the first place. And so I'm like, why would I spend $4,000 to get a free night when I could spend $4,000 in my current setup, my everyday life, my everyday spend, and get way more United miles that's going to get me the exact same hotel for $0. So there's no point for me to get a hotel card. But if something were to change that would actually benefit me, I would consider it. But right now, it's just not for me.
So I guess I'm just wondering. So if you were in a world where you weren't flying as much as you are with United and gaining all these miles so that you could pay for hotels, what would you do differently then? Because I would say your situation is unique. Like, I'm not flying at all, So how would you do things differently if you weren't just earning all this insane amount of miles through like necessary travels?
Yeah, I'd actually say that's a slightly loaded question where I would still not change anything. I said it in multiple videos. I'll say it to every single person. If you come up to me on the street, pick your partners, start working on your status, but not even the status part. Pick your partners. Like wherever you live, you know where your airport is. Like if you're in DC, you know you have like Reagan and you know you have Dulles. So you're like, oh, okay, I have 2 airports. If I live in New York, I have LaGuardia, JFK, and Newark. Like I have 3 airports. But at the same time, even though I am, Illinois bred and from Chicago, it's like I had Chicago O'Hare, and then I had the Midway, and the Midway has like the Alaska, the Frontier, the Southwest, Spirits, or whatever. Like I don't fly on those. So my airport was O'Hare. And where is it that I want to go? And this also goes back to planning ahead. So if you want to take a trip to Asia, Korea, Japan, Hawaii, London, France, wherever, pick one airline that literally can like get you to all of those. So, and whatever that airline is, that's the one that you should start focusing on and start putting all your energy into. It will just save you so much time and effort. And for me, it's United. So even if I lived in a different way, I don't travel as much as I do right now, I would still say, here's my one airline. And I would still say, even if you're not traveling that much, you plan to, because you're asking the question, what airline is going to get you there? And that doesn't mean you have to 100% commit to it. You don't have to be locked in and that can never change. But at the same time, like, here's my go-to airline, and then here's my plan B airline. So like I said, I've never flown Air France. When I do it, I want to be on La Premiere. I have to fly La Premiere, which is another reason why, like, if I'm looking at another card, can I transfer these points to Air France? Like the Bilt card, I can do United and I can do Air France. So one of the reasons why the Bilt card does fit into my setup, it fits in plan A, it fits in plan B. But at the same time, like I said, that might be a one-off aspirational trip on a specific airline, but it already fits into my setup. So that goes to the former question about my card setup, but also answers your current question. Is like, don't just be out there all willy-nilly. You're going to realize later that you spend a lot of time, effort, and money, like diversifying, like, oh, I got 10,000 points over here. I got 10,000 points over here. And now you need 20,000 points for this one trip. And like, you only have 10 because you diversified without planning, without thinking ahead. So I always say, pick your partners. Like, I know I am an IHG person. If I get a chance, I'm going to stay at an Intercontinental. Easy peasy. Yeah, I will stay at any other hotel. I don't really care. Which is why, like I said, I booked the United's hotel portal. Because like I'll stay at a Hyatt, I'll stay at a Marriott, I'll stay wherever. I'll stay at even Intercontinental. I just booked one from Miami towards the end of this year. I'm staying in their Intercontinental, which I booked the United, Chase and United, actually. I use my Chase travel credit for that one. But but the reason why I say that is like, I know my go-to airline is going to be United. I know my first choice, if I say I'm flying to South Korea, I'm going to look for is their Intercontinental first, because even though I might not pay for it out of pocket using United miles, of course, but I know I'm going to get those points when I stay there. I want those points to be funneled into IHG, because maybe one day I don't use my United miles because I have enough points in my IHG account. Versus now I have 10,000 points in IHG, 10,000 points in Hyatt, 10,000 points in Marriott. And now I got to do a split payment and come out of pocket because I want to stay at this place in Tokyo Where if I just focused it all in, I could easily just have all those points in one specific spot. So I always recommend to anybody, pick your partners, have a plan A, 100%, but always also have a plan B. And that plan B is super important because it might actually tell you, hey, do I need the built card or not? Like in my case, I know I can transfer those to Air France, and they do those, like they just did another rent day, like 200% bonus or whatnot to Air France. And it's like, see, this is why this fits into my setup.
Gotcha. But I guess to be contrarian, in my mind, it's like, well, I couldn't necessarily do what you're describing here because I there's no other way. If I just get the United card, I'm gonna get the bonus, whatever the miles actually are, and then I'm gonna run out of a certain amount of miles from that program, and then what do I do? So the only reason
Yeah.
I've necessarily diversified is because, well, I had no other ways to earn the points, and I don't spend that much to begin with.
Yeah.
So I kind of, exhaust everything. So like the Hilton cards, like me and my wife got 4 of them just between us two. We've pretty much exhausted them all. So I'm like, I have no other way to earn Hilton other than to spend on it. I'm not doing that. So that's why I'm moving on to ink cards so I can transfer to Hyatt. And now I can just expend all my Hyatt points. And then there will be a
Yeah.
day where I don't have any more Hyatt points unless I just keep creating businesses and get more Chase cards. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I just, like, for me, I don't think it's possible to pick my program and to work with it because I can't earn the points any other way other than just accumulating more and more cards,
Yeah, and I totally get that. And I also am not numb to the fact of my setup works great for me,
Yeah.
but not everybody is me. Like you and I live in completely two separate states and completely different parts of the country. Like I get what I built for me that works perfectly, doesn't work for everyone else. And you're absolutely right. But I would still say respond to you in two ways. And the first way is if you are in a position that would allow you to try different things out, different hotels, different airlines, go ahead and do it because you're going to have a good experience. You're going to have a bad experience. You're going to fly on one airline. You're going to be like, I'll never fly this airline again. I've flown Spirit once. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but I admit it. I have flown on Spirit Airlines. And I was like, I sacrificed $1 for the quality and I'll never fly Spirit again. So when people joke about Spirit, like, yeah, their planes look like giant caution tape and it should like straight up, like one of the worst flight experience I ever had was on Spirit Airlines. But the thing is, how would I know that Polaris business class is that great if I didn't have experiences that was that bad, like literally to see the other side of the spectrum? So if you're in that position to be able to experience different airlines, different product, 100% go into it. Now, the second thing is there are additional ways that you could, of course, earn those miles through your everyday spend and still use your cards at the same time. Like I've mentioned, I'm a big fan of shopping portals, but I only use 2. I either use Chase's shopping portal, I use United's shopping portal because I'm very focused on making sure my miles and points all move in the same direction. But and to like one of the recommendations I would give you on that second part of your question there is like go to a website like Rocket Miles where you can book hotels and then choose the award program that you want to receive instead of like if I stay at IHG, I'm not going to get IHG points. Like you can go in there and say, when I stay at this hotel, I want United miles, or I want Delta miles, or I think they even did Amazon. I think they even have Amazon gift cards in there. A friend of mine actually introduced it to me, and I took maybe like 3 or 4 trips, and I booked through it just to get Amazon gift cards, and I ended up buying a Nintendo Switch because I was like, hey, I want to be able to play Mario Kart on the airplane. And so I got my Nintendo Switch for free for spending the exact same money I would have spent anyway with the hotel. Wow. So there's multiple ways you can do it. And like I said, even if you don't use United Shopping Portal, book your hotel. And I know I'm being hypocritical because earlier I said don't use third-party shopping portals. But this one's actually good if you don't really care about getting like the hotel points. Get something else out of it instead, or get the airline points that you want out of it instead. Like I said, I could turn it to United Miles instead of Amazon gift cards. So that works as well. And that way you're still spending money, your everyday spend, you're using your card. It still counts as travel if you're using the travel card, of course. And then on top of that, you're able to focus your miles towards a specific purpose. So you might not be focusing towards hotel. In this case, you might be focusing towards a specific airline. Hold on, my dog trying to get in my office.
Oh no. Oh god. The dog's here now.
You might see him try to hop up behind me. Whatever.
It's great. Okay, so I actually have a few more, a little bit of like fun questions.
Yeah.
From here, because this has been great so far, and I appreciate you giving me the time, man. This is a lot of fun. I wanted to ask you in one of your past videos. Actually, it was the second recent one there. Business card. You talked about reasons why you should be getting a business card.
Yeah.
And the first one was you said it was because it's more professional. And I never really heard anyone mention like, oh, get a business card because you look more professional before. And you mentioned there was like a story about like when you go to cashiers all the time, you hand them a business card, they think you're like affiliated in some way. Do you have stories like that and from having business cards?
Absolutely. So it's not professionalism per se, as it conveys a sense of professionalism. That's what I'll say. And yes, there's a difference, but it's no different than how many people went and got like a platinum card because it made them look cool, right? Like it's almost that type of aesthetic. And I'm not ratting on the platinum card. I just know that's a story behind the platinum card. That's all. So don't kill me in the comments, y'all. I have no problem if that's your card and that's your thing. Right. Go for it. Happy for you. Go live your life. Have a Coke and a smile. But I know a lot of people that have gotten that card and realized later, like, yo, I got it because it's silver and it's cool and it's exclusive and whatever. And then they realize later, like, yo, it's not the right card for me. But so that particular aesthetic also works on business cards because like Cashier sees so many different types of cards. And depending on what type of company or what type of retailer or merchant you go to, they are literally trained to respond to you in a particular way. And so there's times where like I go to Home Depot all the time. I do not do construction. I do not look like I am doing anything construction. And yet when I take out a business card, they're like, oh, is this going on a work order? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I literally, everything I need fits in one hand. What type of work order would need for like 3 screws and 2 bolts? Like, dude.
That's right.
But it happens every single time. And that's why I say that. And I actually asked, last time it happened, I actually asked the cashier, I'm like, are you like trained to say that? Like, yeah, when we see a business card, we're supposed to ask, like, is it going towards a work order? Is it part of a PO? Is this going to a company of some kind or anything like that? And I'm like, oh. And it's like, yeah. And I'm like, so you technically are treating me differently because I pull out a business card? He's like, well, yeah, we're literally like, we want to make sure we take care of our businesses because of course businesses bring in the most amount of money. And it's also a sales tactic. It's like, oh, you don't have an account with us? You should link in a business account with us, things like that. So I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. It does convey a sense of professionalism. It makes you look different, or at least a different level of importance to some companies like a Home Depot. It will happen at Staples. And I think I actually said, like, I'm literally just buying a Sharpie. And that was a real example of like, dude, I am literally buying a Sharpie. Like I'm not buying a box of Sharpies. I'm not getting 500. I'm buying a Sharpie. But at the same time, that was like a turning point for me to realize like, hey, like this could actually work in your favor. I think in one of Chad's most previous live streams, he was like, yo, just change your title on your account with a hotel or airline to doctor. Why does it have to be Mr.? They're not going to go check, but doctor sounds better. And this is almost the exact same type of scenario. Just whip out your business card and be like, yo, have your confidence. I wouldn't say slap it down on the table. That's rude. But like, just it will help in the end. And at times I've actually received discounts because using a business card, like, oh, you're a business, we give 10% off for businesses. Like, I don't have an account with you guys. Like, no, we did give 10% off for businesses. Great. Thanks. Like, shut up. If that happens, shut up, stop talking, take the 10% and walk away. But I'm like, I didn't know that. So I'm like, yeah, it does convey a sense of professionalism to an extent.
Wow. I never would have imagined because I've paid with business cards, a good amount of times. Never had anyone actually even acknowledge it. Only 2 times people only acknowledged the card that I had, and that was one having the Amex Gold card in its original form, and that was like a waitress like, "Oh, you got money like that." That was the first thing. Like, no, it's not really. Um, and then the lion card that I have, the crazy. The crazy design that I have on the lion card. And when usually they think, I don't know what they think, but they think I'm like something like ultra important, like I just like billions of dollars, because they always look at it and like, oh my, like, what do you do? You know, like I'm like, well, technically you could have it for like a couple $100, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay that, but they gave it to me because whatever, got the channel. But yeah, that's interesting. You get a little bit of a status recognition when you have certain things. Oh, that's right. Even the Anthony Venture card that Calvi designed for me, it literally had my face on it. It was like real estate, and they always look at it. They look at me. You're like, okay, yeah, yeah. They're like, okay, you do something. And at that point, it was like real estate, so they were like, oh, you do real estate, huh? So the card could give you some status sometimes. I like that. That was the reason I carried $2 bills for a while too. It was to hand it to people. It's like, oh, you're more memorable because like, who the hell has $2 bills? Like, why do you even? The hell? Because I realized, I think I watched Graham and he said that, and I went to a bank and I was like, oh, you could just ask for $2 bills, and usually they have a stack of like 50 at any given time. And that's pretty cool, So yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like what you said about maybe standing out a little bit, or you can get perks like 10% off. That's pretty cool. Anybody else in the chat here have any experiences like that? Chad mentioned, like you said, same treatment happens in hotels. I guess for Dr. Chad Money Minutes, that's pretty cool. And Richie said, oddly enough, the Verizon Visa card was probably the card that got me the most comments. Wow, that's interesting. Clairvoyant also says $2 tip master. He is, so that's cool to know. Oh, and Spencer Johnson joined. What's going on, man? I also wanted to ask you. Is he here?
Yeah.
You here? Oh, you're still
I'm
here.
still
Okay.
here. Yeah.
There was another video where because it just went black for a second.
It did for me too. Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, that's been happening. YouTube's updating too many things too fast. I also wanted to ask you, on another video you mentioned, you said, yes, I do have 2 phones. I'm not going to tell you why unless you ask me nicely in the comments. Why do you have 2 phones, man? What's the deal with the 2 phones? You doing like drugs on the side, all those things?
Actually, I have more than 2, but only 2 are active at a time. I only have 2 SIM cards, so there are only 2 that are active at a time. But
that's weird.
I am a tech nerd through and through, absolutely through and through and through. So one, I just have an affinity for all types of tech. So when new tech comes out, I will always get it. I know in our pre-show I had brought it up, like at the beginning of the show, that's a Google Pixel 1 that's completely broken out or blown up. But I always carry 2 phones. One is because I do travel internationally so often. The first reason is my main phone is because it's a Verizon SIM card. So that's my what I call my US phone. But Verizon sucks internationally. They have Travel Pass. It doesn't work in every single country. It doesn't work great in every single country. And so I use my second phone as kind of like not just a catch-all outside of like, hey, if you want to spam me, go send something to this, but it's like my international phone. And even though I don't really make that many calls internationally, but I know it has a Google Fi SIM card in there. If anyone ever uses Google Fi or has used it, it's ridiculously great if you travel internationally. The second your flight lands, you turn it on, it says, hey, welcome to Portugal. Hey, welcome to Peru. And it just works. But the thing is that's what I use for my hotspot and data when I'm not in a secure area. At the same time, going back to being a tech nerd, I use my own VPN and all that other stuff. I don't trust public Wi-Fi. I don't trust international Wi-Fi. So, but I will trust the Wi-Fi that I pay for coming directly off the hotspot off my phone. And so that's why I keep 2 phones. So even though I don't use the second one that often, I still do use it here in the US. So it's like, oh, I want to test this new application out. I don't know what it is. I'll put it on this phone first, or I'll run it on this network first versus putting it on my main phone or something like that.
Okay. Wow.
But yeah,
I
just being a
didn't
nerd,
realize.
just being a tech nerd is the real reason why I have it. But like, if I actually count, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 phones in front of me on
Oh
my
my
desk.
God, that's
I
ridiculous.
love them, man. And Samsung, I was just at Samsung Unpacked in San Jose like a week or two ago, where they announced the S24 Ultra, and now I want an S24 Ultra. I'll probably have it in like a week. It's part of my tech nerdiness, I guess.
Got it. Yeah, actually, I saw in the Discord, Sledge just got his as well. The S24 Gangster, I think he's calling it. So that's awesome. Josh also mentioned he abused the living hell out of Google Fi in 2022. John loves his Google Fi. And John also said, I have 2 phones too, Lani. Oh, well, 3 if I don't count my corporate device. Huh.
Yeah, if Google Fi worked in the US like Verizon did, I would just go 100% Google Fi. But it doesn't. So I want the best network, or the best that I can get for the price that I can get. And I'm with Verizon for a lot of different reasons, which I've also mentioned in previous videos, not just like the streaming services and things like that. And I former employee, I used to work there. But if Verizon worked like Google Fi, I would have one. And if Google Fi worked for like Verizon does in the US, I'd have one. But because they don't, I gotta make sure like my phones work wherever I'm at. So that's why I keep 2.
Not bad. Okay. Yeah. They agree. S24 Ultra rocks. So I haven't had anything other than an iPhone for a long time. So I don't know what I'm really missing. I don't know like the higher ends of these types of phones.
Yeah,
I wonder
iPhone is a
though.
completely separate conversation, Anthony.
Well, I won't even go. I have no idea.
You want to know why I don't have hotel cards? Like why I don't use an iPhone is a completely separate conversation.
God.
Like, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay. Maybe in the part 2, we'll run it back. we'll just do the entire time on that, or I'll have to get an iPhone loyalist in here or something. That'd be funny. Interesting. I also wanted to give you some of the Discord questions. You had a few that
Sure.
came in, and they're actually, I believe, all here. We had one from Matt Clausen, Kiki, and Michael Wong of Wong Way Travel. So I wanted to start with Matt Clausen. Well, he was the first one anyway. He said, is there a card or offer that got away from the king of the stack? What's the one card that got away?
I can't really say there's a card that got away. Not that. Yeah, I'm Matt. I'm thinking right now, and I can't think of anything that a card or opportunity that has gotten away. I really cannot.
What about like a woman that got away? Kidding. Okay.
Well,
Nice.
well, no. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that because my wife's home.
Yes,
No,
yes,
no,
absolutely.
but I joke. She actually knows like my entire life story before her, so it wouldn't be a surprise if I said it anyway. But I'm gonna keep that between her and I.
Yes, absolutely. And Spencer said Matt always comes in with the clutch questions. Oh yeah, absolutely. Kiki asked, you know how these go. We always get into debauchery a little bit. Kiki X, do you use any services to auto add all of your card offers? I guess like
Great question. Yeah, I do not. So I mentioned earlier that I am very granular, I'm very intellectual, I'm very data analytic. And so I don't want to use any of those because I want to know exactly like what type of offer, or I want to be able to activate it. And that's just my own mental retention factor. So I know you just mentioned max rewards. I don't use max rewards, and I know one of their main benefits is like, especially if you have an Amex card, all those offers that pop up, it automatically activates them for you. But the thing is, if it did that and I didn't go into my Amex account or my app and actually like look through what was being activated, that goes back to Matt's question of the opportunity lost. So I don't do it every single day, but like every other day, I'll go into my Amex account or in the app and it's like, okay, what type of offers are in there? Because it changes almost daily, especially weekly. And if like there was one offer that was like, if you spend X amount of dollars, like 2,000 or something dollars, we'll give you an extra 1,500 points. If you do it like within 90 days, you can do it up to 3 times. Well, if I didn't know that was activated, I would probably be out there spending on another card. And
Hmm.
if you look at the terms and conditions of that particular offer, like I said, I'm paraphrasing, I might be a little bit off there. But if you don't look at those terms and conditions, like the 90-day part, like I wouldn't know, like it would have automatically been activated. My 90 days would have started and I would have potentially missed out on that versus, oh, once I hit activate, my 90 days start. And what's the expiration date? How long do I have to activate it? And this one's like at the end of 2024. It's like December 30th. I have to activate it before December of 2024. So now I'm like, well, let's say I have another card where I'm working on a welcome bonus. Well, I can finish off that welcome bonus, activate this Amex offer later, and still get those Amex points. So, but if it were automatically activated, those 90 days would have started. I may not have known those 90 days would have started, and I could have missed out on those additional Amex points for additional spend after I got a welcome bonus on another card, for example. So I don't like those. I personally like to go in myself and manually like check whatever offers, especially with Amex. To turn them on myself so that I am cognizant of what offers available for me and when it's available, so I can make sure I gear my spend towards that. So like at the end of last year, they did it for Best Buy. It's like 5 or 6 extra points or whatever per dollar spent at Best Buy. They did it for twice, I think, last year for Amazon.com. And so I shop on Amazon a lot. I shop at Best Buy a lot. So if those were activated and I missed out on them, then yes, I would have been livid after the fact because like, it automatically activated and I didn't do my part to go make sure it was activated or not, or read the T's and C's of it. So by doing it manually, I make sure that I don't miss out on any of those opportunities, and I can make sure I gear my spend to always making sure I get my extra points.
I think that's a great answer. It actually gives light to almost how I've done things, and I never put words to it. But yeah, I've never really added anything to auto add only Amex offers because, like you said, my spend is so like focused on a couple of things. Like I'm always just going to Food Lion. That's it. If there's anything outside of that, I'm like, all right, yeah, let me check the Chase offers. Let me check the Amex offers. Then I'm cognizant. I'm aware, more so. And then as you're obviously on the way to scrolling, you can find other offers like, oh, maybe maybe I don't know, it just comes up. I was going to buy something at that other place. So I like that. Just being aware.
I will also add that is not a knock against Max Rewards. They have other benefits in that app that are very, very beneficial. It's just, once again, talking about what might be right for you, what might be right for me. It's just not, as an application, it's just not right for me.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I'm not knocking Max Rewards. Great app. If it works for you, it works for you. But it's not it's not downloaded on any of Lani's phones.
Gotcha. So part of you saying that you are very detailed and you like to get really granular with things, I'm actually I wanted to wait for this a little bit to like now, because you said you actually have like announcements and stuff that you wanted to make on this podcast. But I wanted to ask you. So I knew this about you before you ever told me this. I looked at your videos, I looked at your thumbnails. I was like, this dude pays attention to like all of the details. I saw the way you did thumbnails. Like nobody just does this in the first 3 months of having their channel and gets through that. Like nobody is this polished. I've seen your videos. Like I watched the first one to the one you posted like I think yesterday or 2 days ago. Literally editing has skyrocketed, thumbnail has skyrocketed, your cadence on camera, your intros, everything. I was like, nobody's this detailed. So I wanted to know, like, so
you're not wrong. Keep going. You're not wrong. I know where you're going.
Right. So I wanted to know, like, what your overarching framework is on being detailed. I guess specifically for the YouTube channel, because I want to know where you're headed. For lack of a better term, I want to know where you're going.
Yeah. So there's a couple of that's. Once again, loaded question, long answer. Yeah. But you're 100% right. It's super detailed, and I do it for one reason, and that reason is I don't have a lot of time, as most of us do. Like you might, like I have a full-time job. I also have a wife, and I have a house, and I have a kid. I have a dog. Like I got to walk my dog 3 times a day. So I don't have a lot of time. So if I want to do this YouTube thing, which I do obviously because I hit publish, right? I want to make sure that I put as much value into the time that I can put into it as I can. And that just is a really long way to say I want to do the best I can absolutely possibly do every single video and use my time wisely to provide the best content and quality that I can. And that's it. And so one of the reasons, and I think a lot of it, as you had mentioned, like to see the progression for only after a couple of months, only after a couple of videos, is that I will not sacrifice quality. I will do whatever, I will provide the best quality content I can every single video. And every single video is going to be better quality. Going back to, like I had said earlier, I might finish recording a video and I won't upload it. Why did that just go off? Anyway, I might not upload it to YouTube until 3 or 4 days later. Like literally, I'll sit and watch it myself. I'll watch it back. And it doesn't mean I'm going to change anything, but before I let the public see it, I've already broken it down. I'm already starting to script the next video. I'm already starting to like produce and direct what I want it to look like when it comes to the editing. Like I want this here. I want this movie clip here. I want this particular like GIF or added in at this moment. Because it's like, that's the quality that resonates with, you know, my viewers and the people that come to watch my channel. And that's what also keeps them coming back. So if I were to sacrifice that quality in any way, I could also lose a viewer in some ways. Like, man, this dude came out hot and now he's being lazy. You're not going to get that. That's the statement that no one will ever be able to say about me. And that's the type of aesthetic that I want to bring to my work ethic, and my channel. Now, with all of that, people can recognize the amount of work and effort you put into something. It doesn't matter if you're running a marathon. It doesn't matter if you are building a Lego set. And so you can see that, hey, this dude is putting in work for his channel. And am I doing it for any other reason than literally it's for me? And one of the first things about me becoming a creator was I asked myself, can I do it? And if I'm going to take time away from my son, if I'm going to take time away from my family, I'm going to make sure I get 120% out of that time. And so I really, really, really hone in on every single aspect that I can. And then like I find a way, I strategize, and I find a way to execute. But I am constantly thinking of what can I do next? What can I do better? Or if this video didn't do so well, why didn't it do so well? What can I change to make the next one do better? And so like, you'll see, if you actually pay attention to a lot of my videos, you'll see like a bunch of A/B testing. Like, yo, he normally like puts 2 end screens and this one only has 1. Why did he do that? Because I'm probably looking at my data analytics, like, are people even clicking on these end screens? Is 2 hurting me or is 2 helping me? Is 1 going to help me or is 1 not going to help me? Those types of things. So I really go in to that granular detail so that I can provide the best content, that I can produce the best quality, which means now as someone like Anthony Ventura or anyone else that wants to watch my video, that might be 10 minutes out of your day. Like, that's your time. I don't want to waste your time either. So if you want to come to my video, you know you're going to get a Lani video. That's one of my big drives. So it's not like chasing subscribers. It's not like, you know, trying to get monetized as fast as possible. I want you to support and come see me for me, to be an advocate for me. And the way that I can do that as a creator is to put out the best quality that I can.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah. This like you before when we were off camera, you said a method to your madness, and obviously it's like he who holds all the data. I think I've heard recently, you know, wins whatever game that actually is. So if you're really heavy in the data, honestly, I need to be more in the data. I really do.
The data tells you everything. I was talking to another creator the other day, and I was like, do you know there's advanced mode in studio? And she was like, what are you talking about? I was like, no, literally go into advanced mode and then get really granular on like where your new viewers are coming from, where your subscribers are literally hitting that subscribe button. And like I said, I'm literally as of right now, I always work on 3 different aspects that are completely independent of each other in each video. So it could be like thumbnail and the 50-minute or the 50-minute mark or the 50% mark of the video and the end screen. So there are 3 different things that have nothing to do with one another. So that way it's like, I'm A/B testing this one, I'm A/B testing this, and I'm A/B testing that. And so when I put out the new video, I'm like, cool. Now I know what I've done differently between the A and the B, hit upload. And then at the same time, like, yo, did it work? What worked? Like, let me go in my analytics. Do I see a spike here? Do I see a dip here? Those types of things.
You can definitely see it. I mean, it works. I mean, you've effectively, well, grown to 1,000 subscribers, obviously, because your information is good, your quality is good, but it's this attention to detail that I think has propelled you so quickly. Whether that was your goal or not, your goal is to get better. So, of course, the people will come. You build it, they will come. So I want to know where to from here. Do you have goals for grand goals for the channel, and how does that look in your frame?
I do, yes. So I would recommend, and I would say this to anybody, to any aspect of their life, is to have a goal. Like, I've been able to achieve lots of things in my life. Like, I've had multiple success stories, which I'm very proud of. My family's very proud of. This is, I'm not going to say another notch in my belt, but this is one of those things. Like, when I said, I want to start my YouTube channel, I didn't say I want to start a mediocre YouTube channel. I didn't say, I was like, I'm just going to hit upload and see what happens. No, I was like, I want to, if I'm going to do this, I want it to be as good as I can possibly do it. And so that was my original goal. So to hit 1,000 subscribers in like 100 days was not my, well, technically it ended up being an original goal, but that wasn't my initial concept. It came to me because another friend of mine was like, dude, you can do it. And then that was the inception into me of like, okay, if he believes in me, he's like, you got the personality, you got the persona, you're already doing the work. I've seen this happen a million times. You can do it in 90 days. And I was like, that sounds like a good goal. I'm not going to hold you to it. And I'm like, but let's see how far or how deep this rabbit hole can go. And I didn't do it in 90 days, but did I shoot myself in the foot? And I'm like, oh man, screw this. This is over with. No, yeah. I actually remember on New Year's Eve at 11:50, he and I were talking. I'm like, dude, I'm at 835, but you were right. I didn't realize that could happen. And I've had a couple of days where I've gotten over 100 subscribers in a day. I've had at the beginning of December, hold on, damn. December 8th, I was at 500 subscribers. And so a little bit over, almost just under 400 subscribers between the beginning of December and the bottom of December. And once again, go back to your analytics, figure out what works, because that's going to be the cream of the crop that's going to teach you like what to do right and continue to do those types of things. But he was like, on December 8th, I'm like, dude, I just hit 500. He was like, dude, the year's not over yet. And that, once again, that sparked me to drop now my most popular video, I will never cancel my Chase Sapphire Reserve card, because he was like, the year is not over yet. He told me that, inspired me to go back, put more quality in it, to put more time into it, like what works, what doesn't, do the research. And it ended up being now my most popular video by leaps and bounds. And now, of course, I'm using that as like like, what did I actually do there? I mean, I know what I did, but like, what can I take from there and resonate into something else and see if I can emulate that type of success from that particular video? But to answer your question, yes, I do have goals. And this would be actually a great time because, yes, I just crossed over 1,000. My channel is getting monetized, those types of things right now. But one of my huge success points that I have, and people and organizations that I've been able to come across in this journey over the last 4 months, was a charitable organization that came and found, one of their board members came and found my channel, said, hey, we like what you're doing. We definitely like everything about it. And it just ended up, me and her ended up having a conversation where she ended up telling me about what their charity organization does. And I absolutely fell in love with it. So I donated money to them last year. But now that my channel is monetized, what I want to do is to use my channel, and any funds that I get from my channel, starting now through the end of February, I'm going to donate 100% of it. Every single dollar, every single penny, I'm going to donate to this charity. Now, there's a couple of different levels that come to that. I'm not doing this for subscribers. I'm not going to be doing this for any other thing other than it's going to force me to, once again, work and do the best quality content that I can make so that it can earn the amount, or a specific whatever, as much as it possibly can, so that I can donate it it to that charity. So if you go to my channel now, you'll actually see I've opened up membership. I don't really know what I'm going to do with memberships yet. I'm going to be completely honest with you. So I didn't put like a lot of details like members only live streams or you get videos first. I don't want to have that, ostracize anyone from my channel. So I don't know what I'm going to do with memberships yet. But anyway, you could do that. You could drop a super thanks on any of my videos. I will start doing live streams. I know I've mentioned that before. I was like, hey, I'm looking at how I'm going to do live streams and the reason why. So if you drop me a super chat or anything at any of the live streams that I do, and because the AdSense, your first month from everyone that I've talked to is not going to be a lot. I also, out of my own pocket, will be donating $1 out of my own pocket to every single subscriber I get from now through the end of February. And then because of all of that, now that comes with an asterisk. Once again, don't go subscribe to my channel because you want to like donate my money. I'm not trying to buy yeah, I'm not trying to, well, I'm going to cap it. I don't know what I'm going to cap it. I might cap it at like 1,000 or whatever, but I don't want you to, I only want you to hit subscribe on my channel if you like me as a person, me as a content creator and the stuff that I put out. So don't do it for the charity. If you want, the charity is connectingflights.org. You can go to their website. You can donate directly to them and just bypass me totally. So I want everyone to have that particular option. But I want to use my platform and my content to see what I can do for someone else. And the last bit of it is that I also have been lucky enough to meet another organization that I told this story to, like, hey, when I do this, I'm going to go, like, I'm already talking to this other company and I'm going to donate all this money to them that I make off of this channel. They have agreed to match dollar for dollar whatever I donate. So technically everything you donate will be doubled if it goes through me or through my channel through the end of February. So that's my motivation, is to be able to do something for someone else. And the reason why is if you go to their website, connectingflights.org, they go into what in the PC world people call underrepresented neighborhoods. They're not underrepresented, they're just fully Black or fully Latin, those types of neighborhoods. I have said it a million times, and I am a product of it myself, that travel is a cultural, educational experience that just cannot be topped. And I've been lucky enough that, my mom's from Southside Chicago. My dad is from the Capitol Heights neighborhood in Washington, D.C. So these are places where if you went to Chicago, you're not going to go to the neighborhood my mom grew up. You go to DC, you're on the National Monument, you're on the National Mall. You're not going to the neighborhood he grew up. And so a lot of people aren't provided these types of experiences or privileges because of resourcing constraints. So like we're talking people that might have to choose between food or gas, those types of things. And this organization goes out, helps these families, uses the donations that they get and provides them these travel experiences that we literally talk about. Like you want to go to Bali, you want to go to Paris, you want to go to Italy. Like they actually provide these to these types of families. And like I said, as someone that grew up in a traveling family, I know the benefit of it. So this is my way of paying it forward. Now I have a platform where I literally talk about this stuff. Why not use that to pay it forward as well? So for the next month, my goal is to provide 10x the content that I've already done so that I can get as much quality response from the viewers, that is. Whatever, AdSense, if you feel like dropping something, go ahead and drop something. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe, whatever. But I'm paying it forward as much as I can. And that's going to motivate me to put out even better content than I've done in the last 4 months.
There's nothing. There are no words. That is just you're a good man, Lani. You're a good man. That's
I'm
all.
just a guy trying to do a thing, man. I'm no different than anyone else.
Hey man, a lot of people not doing that, so I think that's great. I think that's an amazing message, and yeah, quite literally that being the meeting the cultural divide by means of travel. And if you can do that, I know there's a lot of programs like Miles for Migrants, stuff like that. That's really cool. That's honestly really, really cool that you're doing that. And I can't wait to see this push.
I will also add that this is probably the only time I'm going to say it publicly. So you're not going to see me do a short about it. You're not going to see me add this to the end of my video. Like I said, I'm not advertising this in an outward way to pull on heartstrings for anyone. I'm doing this inward to push myself because I have a dollar amount. I'm not going to say that one out loud, but I have a dollar amount that I want to be able to hit. And I think I can actually hit it if I put in the work. So I'm going to put in the work.
I'm sure you're going to make it happen, man.
This is for me to be able to do this good thing. Yeah. I
think that's, and before I say whatever, JJ, I appreciate the $2 super chat. I didn't, okay. Appreciate the super chat, man. What do you think the next AMX refresh is going to be to cut off this amazing moment? Sorry. The next AMX refresh, I don't know. The earnings call and they say like probably 2024, 40 different cards are gonna have a revamp for probably 2024. But thank you so much, JJ. I don't mean to cut that off fast, but I appreciate that as well. But I think this is a great place to go out on, Lani. You are you've graced us with your presence today. It was absolutely amazing, and as people said, yes, good to know your purpose. And travel can be life-changing, as John said, and everything. So I think you're doing a good thing, and you're going to continue to grow. And I'm glad to catch you at this level before you exceed everybody else, because you got that tenacity. So I'm excited to see where you go from here. But thank you for giving us your time today, man.
Absolutely, and it's not about levels or anything like that. I put myself into phases when it came to my channel. Where it's like, hey, the first phase is like find myself in front of the camera. The second phase is like get better at editing. The third phase is like production value. So I am slowly into like my fourth phase right now. But once again, have a plan and stick to it. And that's all I can say. Like I would love to say luck is not luck. I did my research. I did the work, and putting that work out ends up paying off, paid off from a subscriber standpoint. So I'm very happy to realize, and I think Chad always says it best how he ends its videos. It's like every single one of them is like a badge of honor. You could have clicked on anyone else, you could have watched anyone else, but you chose to take your time out of your day. And so I always just want to be appreciative of that for every single person, you subscribe to my channel or not. You took that time to even click. So that motivates me because, like I said, just 4 months ago, I was sitting and asking myself, can I do it? And now I'm asking myself, what more can I do? So.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for being here, and not because you want to donate $1 for every subscription, but if you genuinely like the content today and Lani and how he is as a person, in the pinned comment you can see it right there, his channel. So go check him out. Don't even subscribe right away if you don't want to. Just go there, watch his videos. I'm sure you're gonna want to subscribe anyway because we don't want to hit your goal too fast. But yes, definitely go check him out if you haven't already. And thanks to everyone who's also here as well. So we always gotta run them off. So we got Clairvoyance. Yeah, say
one last thing about all of that. So I just talked to that organization 2 days ago. Come early March, I'll have someone from their organization, someone from their board of directors on a live stream. So you guys will actually get to see the end result of all of it. So I'm putting stuff in motion as we speak. This is real.
That's great. So
that's why I need to practice my live streams.
So I'm glad to get to practice it. It's the beginning of March, you said, or
it'll probably be early, sometime in March. Yeah, gotcha, it'll be preferably early March. It'll be sometime in March. Once I have the date, of course, everyone will know. I'll put it out there.
Cool. I'm excited. I'll be there for sure. And yeah, Clairvoyant says, have a plan. Your mileage may vary. Thanks, guys. Give us all some things to think about. Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you being here, Clairvoyant, Chad, Michael Wong, John, JJ, of course, Joe Barretto earlier, Joe Lindsay, Richie, and everybody else, Mac Lawson, everybody that's been here, and Lani. Thank you so much for, again, giving us your time on a Saturday, just a random Saturday. So appreciate you, Lani.
I appreciate the invite, and you were my first or my last push to 1,000. So for anyone that doesn't know that's watching, Anthony came to me around 800 and was like, hey, you're growing. I don't know you, but you want to come on my podcast. And I told him not till I hit 1,000. And that was my final push to get there. So, Anthony, you are also part of my push to provide the best quality ever.
Hell yeah.
That I
love
can,
it.
not ever. Best
If I can-
quality I can.
Yeah. If I could have a small part, that's fine by me. I'm happy. Happy to have a small speck of dust in your great glory. So that's great. Well, as always, appreciate all you guys, and I guess I'll see everybody next Saturday.
Peace out.
Take care, Lonnie.
Yep.